So my name's MV. If you guys don't know me yet, I see a lot of new names on here. So thank you guys for coming today. Welcome to day 2 of Body Comp. Super exciting. I'm so excited you guys signed up. And so today we're starting off with our first bite-sized nutrition talk. And here we're really this week going to break down meal prep. Like nutrition meal prep gets to be like, oh my gosh, I have to have this like Instagram perfect thing. No, like it's so much simpler than that. And I really hope today you guys leave with some really easy sort of principles and things you guys can implement day to day. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. All right, guys, can everyone give me a thumbs up if you guys can see my screen? Yes. Awesome. Yay. All right, cool. So minimize that. All right. Meal prep made simple, bite-sized nutrition talk week 1. Let's get into this. So first thing for today, we are going to talk about food quality and what to eat. We can't really talk about meal prep unless we talk about, choosing the food specifically. So in this, we're really going to dive into food quality and what makes really quality whole food choices. Next, we're going to then go into how to cook and talking about some food preparation methods to hopefully not only save you time, but also be a little bit healthier as well. And then finally, we're going to go through just some example meal preps of hopefully some like lunches and snacks that are the easy things to have that'll kind of encompass the food quality and food prep side. So first things first, on what to eat, we're going to talk about really high food quality, and that's going to give you really high octane fuel. So here at EXOS, we really like to talk about fueling our bodies. Food is so much more than just fuel. Also, like, it's about the experience of getting people together and having so much of community happens around food. But when we break down into food qualities, we're really talking about, high octane fuels. We want to feel as best as possible. Now, what is going to be our highest food quality? These are going to be our whole foods. So fruits, vegetables, complex carbs, and nice lean sources of protein. So when we are choosing what to eat, our goal is to really increase the proportion of whole foods in your diet and minimizing all of the more processed foods that are really easy and convenient to choose, but not always the best for you. So what is this fuel going to be used for? First and foremost, it's going to be for our brain. All of us have really important jobs that we want to excel in, and our brain is also what keeps us alive. So we want to make sure that we're giving our brains the fuel that it needs to do its job the best way possible. Also, we have to fuel our immune system, especially important right now. We're still in the middle of COVID. So we want to make sure that we're as healthy as possible. Working out, eating really great foods is only going to help you fight off not only, in case you get in contact with someone, but also just your common colds, things like that. The next thing we got to do is we got to fuel all of our tissues. As you come to the gym, you want to build some muscle. You have to have the raw materials in order to do that. So lots of protein, carbs, fats to make sure those cell membranes are nice and functioning. And also for our organs, we got to keep all those healthy because that's also going to keep us alive. And then a plus side, when you feed all of this stuff, your joints are probably going to feel better because they're less inflamed. Your skin is going to be really nice. You're going to have really nice hair. That's more of sort of like the things you see, but it's a sign that everything else is doing really, really well and is getting fueled right. All right, so whole foods, what are our big categories here? So we're going to talk about whole grains, lean proteins, fruits and vegetables, and healthy fats. So right below that, you're going to see here at EXOS, what we like to use is little catchphrases to kind of keep in mind as you're making choices when it comes to your grocery shopping, and also as you maybe look at a restaurant menu and be like, okay, well, what's going to be the healthiest choice here? So as far as whole grains, we're going to look for things that are brown and close to the ground. So these are going to be generally unrefined grains. So things like brown rice. White rice is white because it's had that brown husk removed, but that brown husk has a lot of really awesome nutrients and fiber in it. So we want to make sure we're including that in our diet as well. Also, things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, things that grow in the ground are going to be awesome. And then you can also get more into your ancient grains like farro, quinoa, bulgur, things that, again, just haven't been processed. So if it's brown, it's going to be a pretty good choice. Next, we want to choose lean proteins, and our catchphrase here is going to be the less legs, the better. So if it has 0 legs, you're going to be talking about more seafoods and plant-based sources of protein. With plant-based sources of protein, we just want to make sure that they are have a complete amino acid profile. So that's going to be things like soybeans, making sure that if you are vegetarian or vegan, you know, you're having things like rice and beans, so you're getting all of the amino acids your body needs. Fish, seafood is going to be an awesome choice to try and work in more of your diet, especially things like salmon that have really high omega-3s and omega-6s. It's going to help you feel really great and also has some anti-inflammatory properties as well. Then, you know, if neither of those options are available, or maybe seafood's a little expensive for you to buy all the time, poultry is going to be our second choice. So things with 2 legs. So we're talking about chickens, turkeys, things like that. So those are going to be really, really lean. And, you know, it's sort of the stereotypical, oh, I've got to eat lean protein, I guess I'm eating only chicken breast, but that's not always the case. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Then finally, the sort of choice we want to make the least, but is still important to include in our diet, is game. So things like beef, bison, pork, all of those sort of 4-legged animals are important to still have in your diet, but we just don't want to have them every single night of every single week. All right, so then moving into our fruits and vegetables, we want to just up our color quotient. So all that means is we want to have a really, really colorful plate. You know, my mom used to always tell me, go ahead and eat your rainbow. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever, mom. But it really, really is important. You know, working in 3+ colors on your plate is going to increase the amount of micronutrients you have in your diet. So if you want to just think about it like pico de gallo, you've got your tomatoes, you've got your onions and cilantro, you've got red, white, and green right there. You know, working in, do roast 2 kinds of vegetables maybe instead of 1 for your dinners. It's going to be a really easy way to get more colors on that plate. Finally, we want to have nice, healthy fats. So these are going to be our fats that give back. We want to choose these fats from whole food sources like avocados and nuts. And while we're cooking, we want to choose fats that are liquid at room temperature. So things like olive oil, avocado oil, just trying to steer away from things that are solid like butter, lard, even though it makes things taste delicious, everything in moderation. All right, so whole-ish foods. We want to eat whole foods all the time, but man, sometimes we're traveling and that just can't happen because the apple at the airport looks disgusting and we probably don't want to eat that. So it is important to know how to read a nutrition label, and our nutrition labels have been updated as of last year. So over on the side, you'll see a sample of what's new. And I think the 3 really big things that are awesome in this is, you know, we have a much more clear serving size, and the calories are a lot larger. So it's easier to check at a glance, you know, how many calories am I eating? The biggest thing I love that they have added is added sugars right down here. So what this is going to tell you is any sugar that has been added during processing, and not just naturally occurring sugars. So for example, in a glass of milk, you'll see that it has sugars, but those are naturally occurring. But then if you compare that to like a chocolate milk, it's going to have a lot more added sugar because they've sweetened it. So this is going to be really, really key in sort of discerning if you are choosing a more processed food, what's going to have been more processed versus less processed. All right, so things to watch for on nutrition labels. Again, it's those added sugars. And so if you look at the ingredients, I really encourage you guys, you know, if you have like a favorite processed treat, go through those ingredients. Can you pronounce every single one of them? If not, and you're left wondering, I have no idea what a lecithin is, probably we should make another choice. So in those added sugars, you'll see any type of syrup, and any word ending in "ose" is going to be indicative of an added sugar. And again, just trying to make sure that we can pronounce every single ingredient on that ingredient list. And if you can, it's probably going to be super short as well. All right, moving on to step number 2. We've chosen all of our whole foods. We've gotten home. How are we gonna cook them? So healthy cooking options, we just want to steer away from as much oil as we can. So we want to gravitate more towards things like steaming, boiling, poaching. Roasting is one of my favorites. Just roast off some vegetables, really easy, really healthy. If you guys have a grill, go ahead and grilling your protein. You're going to get way more flavor. You can also go ahead, like pan sear, stir fry. And then if you guys have an air fryer, I'm very jealous. I don't have one. I have yet to play with one, but an air fryer is going to be a better alternative to deep frying. Still is going to have just a little bit more oil. So maybe save that, maybe 2-3 times a week. And then going for something like steaming, grilling, and roasting more often. All right, so this, if you guys are comfortable coming off the mic, this is a little fun experiment I love to do. So we all love Caesar salad. I think Caesar salad is great. It's creamy, it's salty, it's delicious. But I want you, there are 4 big things that contribute to flavor. So I want you guys to kind of break down the Caesar salad using this diagram and let me know what you see as the 4 sources of flavor here. You can just choose one if you want to go ahead and name off the 4 you can see. Go ahead. Any takers? No? Yeah, so lime, lemon, things like acid sources are definitely going to be a source of flavor here. Anyone else? Salt, exactly. So we have a lot, precisely, garlic, Parmesan, anchovies, all of these are going to be really salty and work with that acid. Sugar, yep. So we're gonna have a little sugar that's more gonna kind of come from that like toastiness in the croutons as the sugars in that bread have been caramelized by roasting those off. We've got one more. So we've got salt, we've got acid, we've got heat in our roasting. Who can help me with the other one? If you guys think bacon, this is why bacon is delicious. Fat, exactly. Yeah. So we've got this mayo base here. So it's going to give a lot of creaminess and a lot of body to our dressing. So you guys hit them all on the head. Salt, fat, acid, and heat are going to be the big components to flavor. Now, while these can make something really unhealthy, like Caesar salad, I'm sorry, as a trainer, I cannot endorse you to eat Caesar salad every night. These flavor components still apply when you're eating healthy food because we want it to taste good. So let's do this exercise again. So we've got some awesome shrimp tacos here. Who can help me break down, let me know the salt source, the fat source, the acid source here, and our heat? You guys crushed the other one. I know you guys got this one. So it looks like we got some shrimp tacos, some fajita veggies, a little dash. Yes, we've got our cream, which is going to be our fat source. Awesome. Our salsa is going to bring a lot of acid from the tomatoes, from the onions, and from the lime that it's probably been dressed in. All right, so we've got our fat and we've got our acid taken care of. Salt and heat. Where are those coming from? So our shrimp is a seafood, so it lives in salt. So that's going to be innately a little bit salty. We've probably, yeah, and we've got seasoning on our shrimp as well. And then heat wise, we've got some seasoning. Again, we've got some spices on there. And then also our fajita veggies have been probably grilled and those tortillas have probably been toasted. So nice work, you guys. So where is our flavor going to come from? First and foremost, it's going to come from really, really high food quality. When you guys pick up like a tomato from the grocery store, it's probably not going to taste like as tomatoey as it might from a farmer's market. So choosing really high quality food is going to innately make your food taste better. Then we've got our sources of salt. As we switch over to a more whole foods driven diet, the amount of salt you're consuming in those processed foods is going to go down. So don't be afraid to salt your food. It's going to enhance your flavor. Then we've got our fat sources. So still here, fat's going to help kind of meld everything together. We just want to be mindful that, again, those sources are coming from our whole foods and liquid fat sources at room temperature. Then acid. The biggest thing when you meal prep, guys, just buy a bunch of lemons, limes, oranges, cut them up and have them around. Go ahead and dress all your stuff in it. It's going to brighten every single dish that you have and make, maybe healthy food not as bland, because it doesn't have to be. Then also heat, choosing our cooking methods really, really smartly. Roasting is going to bring out a lot more sugars. Grilling, you're going to get kind of that bitterness from the char marks. That's going to be great too. And then really relying on spices here. When you go to the grocery store and choose a spice blend, just try to choose one without salt. That way you're having as much control over your cooking as possible. So if you guys are interested in reading more about layering flavor or just need a new show on Netflix, for those of you guys who know Samin Norsat, she is a chef and educator who worked at a wonderful California restaurant called Chez Panisse. So grab her cookbook, watch her documentary, which is based off of the cookbook. It's really, really great. And she's a wonderful storyteller as well. So just in case you're interested, I'm a personal fan, if you can't tell. All right, guys. So we're going to go into meal prep made simple, what you guys are really here for. So we're going to start with one meal a week. Nice and easy. It can be a snack. It can be lunch. It can be dinner. You choose. Then we're going to make a list and stick to it, okay? So in the nutrition packet you guys have all received at the start of this week, we have a really nice grocery list in the back there of breaking down for you what are going to be really great sources of fuel and then some sort of middle grade fuel sources. So plan your meal, find your list, then buy the things you want to eat. Don't go trying to make healthy food you don't like. Start small, start with the things that you enjoy eating, and then start to branch out by adding one new item every week. Maybe it's something you don't know how to cook as much, or you're like, well, I've never had this before. Just give it a try. So then for those of you guys who are really short on time, having the store do a lot of the work for you. I love buying pre-cut salad mixes. I'm just cooking for myself, and I'm usually on a pretty tight budget. So buying a bunch of produce that ultimately is going to go to waste is not my favorite thing to do. So when I buy like prepackaged salad mixes, things like they already have like kale and cabbage and carrots in them, I'm not wasting a ton of produce and I'm already having a lot of that prep work done for me. The other thing we want to really rely on is frozen fruits and vegetables. If food waste for you is a really big concern, whether you're single or you just find that you like a lot more variety, utilize frozen fruits and frozen vegetables. These are going to be great. They're going to sit in your freezer. They're not going to go anywhere. And you can still work in a lot more variety like that. Then also go for some pre-cooked proteins. A lot of grocery stores, I know Costco is really good about this, having like pre-cooked chicken breast, find that rotisserie chicken that's already been pulled. You can throw that in your freezer as well, if you're buying it in bulk. And then you have that part of your meal prep already done. So the store can do 75% of that work for you. You've just got to put it in your lunch containers if that's what you're doing. Now, for those of you who impulse buy, right now, I think one of the best things with COVID on this front is the amount of stores that are doing curbside pickup or delivery. Choosing in that way to go around, you don't have to walk down the snack aisle with the temptations. And next to the cash register, there's like the thing of peanut M&Ms. I'm not gonna lie, I've fallen victim to that several times. Use that way of having a little more cognitive oversight in choosing things from your computer. I will say I did work as an Amazon shopper prior to getting hired at EXOS. And if you're worried, if your vegetable quality is really important to you, I would say go to the grocery store for those and then have everything else delivered. All right. So when we are looking to meal prep, we want to work in variety. So making options for yourself with your whole grains, make 1 to 2. If you're just prepping for lunch and you're okay with, having rice every single day, totally fine. But if you want to have rice for lunch and potatoes for dinner, boil that rice off and roast your potatoes. So that way, once you get home, you just have to throw the potatoes back in the oven and you're not eating the same thing for lunch and dinner. As far as your proteins, you want to have 2 to 3 options. Maybe you cook off a bunch of chicken thighs. If they're boneless and skinless, they have a lot more flavor than chicken breasts, and the amount of fat that's in there is pretty negligible. So having those already pre-cooked for lunch, and then you've got frozen shrimp in your freezer for dinner that you can thaw super fast. Give yourself options. As far as fruits and vegetables, make 3 to 4. And by make, what I mean here is not every single vegetable has to be cooked. You know, if you want to roast off some broccoli, great. But if for you, you really like snacking on raw carrots, make sure that you either like buy the baby carrots, or if you get like the big bushel, have them pre-cut and store them in some water. So that way they stay really, really crisp. And when you're looking for that like midday crunchy snack, you don't have to gravitate towards, oh man, like I have to cut them up and I have to do all the work. Like do all of your work on whatever day you choose to meal prep as much as you can. So as far as cooking, let's not spend 3 to 4 hours in the kitchen on a Sunday when we're out in San Diego and it's gorgeous. So multitasking is key. Roast off your veggies or your proteins in the oven while you're boiling your grains. And then, you know, if you're using a grill and that's something you're using, do that at the same time. Maybe it's you start to have multiple timers running, but the more work and kitchen sort of utensils and appliances you can have running at the same time, the faster you're going to get done with your cooking. All right, so let's go through some examples. For lunch, we just want to choose a whole grain. So here are just a couple options for you. My sort of go-to is brown rice with chicken thighs. Typically, I'll add some type of like lemon pepper on there just to have, again, working in some more heat, some more spices, and then roasting broccoli and carrots. And then you've got some other options here as well. Then finally here, we've got some really awesome snack options. So we want to think of our snacks as like mini meals. We want to have a complex carbohydrate and that whole grain, a good source of protein, as well as working in some fruits or vegetables. Also, if you're looking to maybe gain some weight and put on some muscle, I know that's not everyone here, but in case you are, snacks are going to be a really great way to do that by choosing really high energy density things like trail mix. So you get those extra calories in. Then if you're a bar person, here are two of my favorite bars. They have very, very few ingredients. So Laura bars are great. You do just want to watch the added sugars in there because I know they put some chocolate chips in. And while they taste really good, we want to kind of make sure that's not our everyday choice. And then RX bars are a really great on the go option as well. So that is it for today. I hope meal prep is not as intimidating anymore. So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And so go ahead and fire away. Thank you guys for sticking with us through our technical difficulties. And I hope you found this really helpful. It will be up on YouTube later in case you want to look back at it, or you can shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer any further questions. So I know we had a little question on intermittent fasting earlier. I forget if it was in the group or if that was someone who was left here. So as a rule of thumb in any type of diet, every diet agrees a lot more than they disagree. Every single diet is generally going to say, eat more vegetables, eat lean protein and fruits as well. You know, that's where everyone very much agrees. So even though people fall into like various like camps as far as what they like to do, just keep in the back of your head, everyone agrees more than they disagree. As far as intermittent fasting, for those of you guys who don't know, intermittent fasting is when you limit your window of eating to a pretty restricted, like 8 hours is the standard one. You know, it can be whatever you want, but the goal is that you eat all of your calories there. As a rule of thumb for most people, and at EXOS, we don't encourage intermittent fasting. We really want you to evenly space out your meals throughout the day. And what that's going to do is give you really constant energy. So we're not spiking and dipping and spiking and dipping. Now, for certain people, yes, they might have success with intermittent fasting, but as a rule of thumb for most people, it's really something I would discourage you from and say, eat your breakfast, have a little snack, eat your lunch, have a little snack, eat your dinner, and really focus on high food quality. It's going to be a very sustainable way to not only help you get the results you want, but feel energized and fuel your body for your days. So that's the intermittent. That's my take on intermittent fasting. Anyone else have any questions? You can drop them in the chat as well. Shoot me an email later. now. So I'm guessing, thanks so much, Meredith. Yeah, so I guess we're all good for today if you guys don't have any questions. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be doing Coach's Corner next week with some of our other coaches talking a little bit more on movement and performance and things like that. So be the same time next week. So I hope you guys enjoy that, but then we'll be back together for nutrition in week 3. So thank you guys so much for joining. This will be uploaded to YouTube and feel free to shoot me an email, mary.shook@teamexos.com with any other further questions.